Hi there, it's me again. Happy New Year, a Merry Christmas, belated Christmas I suppose. Welcome back to Blurtbox. So just a little update. This is a weird one for me. I had a Tintin video that got deleted off YouTube. It was some copyright thing, I don't really remember exactly, but it just disappeared. So I'm going to re-upload it, a newly edited one, just so I don't get any more strikes, because that would be a pain. I was also on a little Christmas hiatus, so I was just unwinding a little bit, and I was quite tired. I was quite busy this year. So that's that. And moving forward, I'm going to be animating stuff that I have thought up in my own head. I'm going to cut back on the fan animation nerd stuff. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but I want to put out stuff that I have created from my brain. So yeah, enjoy the re-edited Tintin thing you've already seen. I'm double dipping, oh well. The current video I'm working on right now is a samurai kind of guy, and he's going to be cutting some bad guys in half. Something like that. I don't know exactly yet, but it's going to come out this month. So enjoy the video again.
Blurtbox.
I think the intro to the 90s Tintin cartoon is the best intro to any cartoon on TV, maybe ever, I don't know, definitely the 90s, it's so bloody good. So I was very, very excited when my Patreon subscribers voted for me to animate the intro to Tintin, not the entire thing, don't get ahead of yourselves, just the sort of iconic, yeah, can we say that? The iconic Tintin run within a spotlight thing, and he's running with Snowy, so I'm going to animate them both, and it's going to be traditional today. Traditional animation. Not rigged. By traditional, I mean tradigital, they call it. It's all on the computer, but, you know, it's basically traditional. Anyways, and if you want to vote on what I work on, you can join my Patreon. I have more information at the end of the video and in the description below, so check it out. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so one of my favorite things about doing traditional animation is that you don't have to deal with rigs, you don't have to build rigs, you can just design a character and then just start animating. Another thing I like is that you don't have to, is that it's just fun. I just find it really, really fun to animate traditionally. You can get tons of tension in there, you can get tons of energy, and yeah, anyway, so here's the design. It's pretty lacking in details and stuff. That's good, because every detail I have to redraw over and over and over again, so keep it nice and simple. And let's throw it into Harmony. So this is just a run cycle, and with traditional animation you want to start nice and loose, nice and rough to feel the energy within your animation. So I'm going to start with gestural drawing, which you learn about in art school when you study animation. We did a lot of it in life drawing, lots of gesture drawing, quick 30-second sketches of models just to get you warmed up and to feel the pose that you were trying to hit. So you are thinking of construction and basic stuff. I did have the first original pose here, so I'm basically just tracing over it. But when you sketch out stuff really quickly, it does a couple of things. Like I said, you feel the energy in the pose, and you also just smash drawings out. And if you're doing it traditionally, you want to be quick because it takes forever. So quick sketching is the name of the game. You want to go down fast and quick and have fun with it. And this is the funnest part, actually, in traditional animation, is smashing out poses and just like putting on some tunes and having a cup of tea and just scratching away at drawings. So this is where I'm getting the main keys down, which is the down, the passing pose, the high, and the extreme. And I'm getting those worked out, and I'll start throwing in the in-betweens in a bit. So right here I'm getting in something called the line of action. The line of action I have talked about before, but it is the base from which you build a strong pose, and it's where the energy is. It's where you're deciding where the main meat of a pose is. So you can see in this drawing I did a line diagonally down to the left, and that is where the leg is going to be, and it gives me a chance to just feel exactly where I'm going to put the different body parts of Tintin. Yeah. So I'm coming to the end here of the rough part, and I'm going to start thinking about rough clean, which is basically where you clean up your drawings. It isn't the clean stage exactly, it's where you find the construction, and it's to sort of nail down your animation and to make it feel right. Yeah, here's the rough animation. It's looking alright, so I'm going to start moving on to cleanup. Okay, so like I said, rough animation is the funnest part. and now I'm moving on to rough clean. Okay, and this part is quite meticulous, and you're using almost a different part of your brain. You're slowing down a lot, and you are cleaning things up. And when you're cleaning up your animation, basically what you're doing is you're finding all the different clean lines, all the shapes, and you're carving out how it's going to look. This takes a lot of concentration, and it can be very time consuming when you're flipping back and forth a lot and you're figuring out exactly where every line's going to fall. Now, I was talking about details at the beginning of this video. I kept it to a minimum. Most of the details are just little folds and creases, and then you get a little pocket, and those are really useful to show line weight. So when you're cleaning up a character in animation, or even just in illustration, and you have lines intersecting like creases and folds, you want the line a bit thicker there. And when you have straights, like that leg, you want to have a thinner line. It sells the drawing more. Yeah, so right here I'm going to flip back and forth to see how the lines are going. It looks good. Looks pretty good. But I think it looks a bit boring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a trench coat to Tintin. The reason why I did this is to make the animation a little bit more visually interesting. And my goal here is to get nice overlapping action and to have some drag and follow through on the sleeves, because he's going to have quite hefty sleeves in his trench coat, as a lot of trench coats do. So yeah, it should look pretty good. So I'm drawing the trench coat in blue just so I can see it more clearly. It'll help me see the movement of the jacket a little bit better. So I'm going to animate the trench coat straight ahead. Straight ahead animation, if I pull up my Illusion of Life book, is one of the principles of animation. It's sort of the opposite of pose to pose. Basically, it is what it says. You use straight ahead animation. You just start on frame 1, and then you animate and animate each frame going forward, and you see where it takes you. The reason why I'm doing straight ahead animation is because the movement of the jacket is dictated by the movement of Tintin. As long as it looks like a jacket that's sort of flapping behind him when he's moving, that's totally fine with me. The only thing I need to make sure is that, because this is a looping animation, the first frame matches the last frame, so it can loop. Yeah. I hope that covered it. So I'm going to let this play out for a bit. I'm just finishing up the jacket here and cleaning it up. And then I'll finish the rough clean, and then I'll start on the clean line. Alright, so now I'm starting on the clean line, and I'm going to start with sweeping lines, the big broad lines, and then eventually on each drawing I'll get down to the smaller and smaller details. I want to make sure I incorporate the proper lines of action that I talked about earlier, and I want to make sure it's nice and clean. I also want to choose the correct pencil texture to make it look kind of crisp but textured. So when you are cleaning up a drawing, you'll see me rotating the screen quite a bit more, because it's easier to draw a straight line nice and cleanly if you are pulling the pencil or pen or whatever stylus towards you. If you are drawing at an angle, your arm sort of moves on a pivot from your shoulder, but that's not good if you're trying to draw a straight line. So you want to rotate the screen and draw towards you. So I'm coming up to the end of cleanup here, and then I'm going to move on to color. I'm not going to dwell on coloring that much because it's lots of bucket fill, you know, and filling shapes, so it's not that interesting. You'll see at the end how it turned out. I'm just basically coloring within the lines. This is how it looks thus far. Not bad. It's a pretty solid run. Yeah. So next I'm going to move on to Snowy, which is Tintin's little companion. He's always running around, or she, I don't know. I don't know what gender the dog is, but Snowy's always running around with Tintin. And I feel like Tintin is irresponsible. Let me explain. So every time Tintin goes somewhere, Snowy is always trapped somewhere, dying. He's either jumping off buildings with Snowy, or getting shot at with Snowy, or Snowy's getting beat somehow by some guy with a stick. Just leave your dog at home, man. Come on, what are you doing? Anyways, I'm just gonna straight ahead this run cycle. Hopefully it turns out alright. You know, the same rules apply as Tintin. I'm starting out really loose and rough, and then I'm gonna put a clean line on top, and then I'll color it. There's tons of reference online on YouTube for dog run cycles, and if you want some really cool reference, Google Edward Muybridge. He's a photographer from the 1800s. He pioneered kind of motion picture, and that he would photograph things in motion, mainly living things like humans and animals. He's a wild looking fella. He photographed everything from people throwing stuff to running to walking to diving to even dogs running. This is my Muybridge book. Yeah, this is just humans in motion, and it's full of nudes, so I probably shouldn't show it. Oh, there we go, that's better. Okay, moving on. So with my awesome Muybridge reference and YouTube and all the information at my disposal, I make a really sick Snowy Rough, and I'm going to start cleaning it now. One thing that really sells dog runs, I find, is the arc at the back. So the legs coming up and hopping up right there. I think it really sells it. They're kind of elasticated, I find. Just looking at them kind of briefly, dogs are kind of, they kind of stretch and squash a little bit when they're running, their torso especially. That really sells the run. So here he is roughed out, and it's basically working. I'm going to tweak it a bit, but this is basically it. I think it's working quite well. I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to start cleaning it. So I'm just finding nice lines here, lines of action and nice straights and curves, and cleaning everything up. And then once that's done, I'm going to start coloring him. And then we're pretty much done. I had a few things at the end, and you'll see that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. This Snowy run took me maybe 2.5 hours to do. So yeah, pretty happy with it. And the entire animation took me maybe about 15 hours to do. 15, 17 hours, something like that. I cut a few corners, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Okay, so before we get to the final video, I want to say I have a Patreon, and if you guys want to support me, that'd be great. The good thing about my Patreon is that you can get updates on what I'm working on, and you get to choose what I am working on next. So for the next video, I'm going to give you guys the option to choose from a Back to the Future Marty McFly animation, an Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark type animation, and maybe a Rubber Hose Fleischer Brothers type animation. That'd be cool. Check out my Patreon, subscribe, and you get to choose which one. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.